Hey guys, welcome back to another video. And so if you are a returning subscriber, again, I do appreciate you clicking on another video and watching today. Hopefully you go ahead and give me a thumbs up and possibly a comment. If you are new here though, welcome to my channel. My name is Robin and this is a makeup mess. So I just like to talk about and play with makeup for fun, nothing serious. So if you're not serious about makeup and you're into just fun videos, then go ahead and subscribe and let's jump into the video. So for today, I did want to share with y'all some palettes that have been on my wish list since forever. These are palettes that I've always wanted, but I never got the chance to get them. Some of them may still be available, but I know at least the first few that I'm going to talk about today have been discontinued and you can't get them anymore, and so I never got the chance to get them, but they were always on my wish list. I guess that's just where they'll stay. So if you're interested in seeing what palettes have always been on my wish list that I have not purchased yet, then go ahead and keep watching. So the first palette today is one that was on my wish list forever. I was like the only person that did not get this. It is the Urban Decay Electric palette. I know they have now like a second or a sister palette to that now that Urban Decay has available. It's maybe even it's supposed to be like a reformulated version of that or something. I know some people have said that some of the shades are similar to what was in the electric palette, but also people are saying that it's just not as good. I do want to pick that one up though, if that one's still available, just so I can have it, just in case those shades are pretty much what was in the electric palette. But the electric palette at its time was so unique, so beautiful, so vibrant. It was completely different from anything any other brand was putting out, from the packaging, the bright colorful packaging, to those pressed pigmented shadows. It was just beautiful, and the looks that people did with it they were so beautiful. Like, you could not miss it. So the colors were very vibrant, very fun, and the palette was just so versatile. And I don't know why they ever did away with that, because a lot of people raved about it and absolutely loved it. So every time I think about it, I get a little bit sad, because I'm like, I always wanted that. Why did they get rid of that palette? I mean, it was just so gorgeous. Palette number 2 is kind of in that same category. It's from Kat Von D. It's the VIDA LOCA palette. If I remember correctly, it was a limited edition palette at the time, but I believe it was like limited edition for an extended period of time. But for whatever reason, I still did not end up picking it up. But eventually it did disappear and it is no longer available. And if you look at it, it was basically this big wheel of basically every shade in the rainbow. Any shade that you could ever imagine or want in an eyeshadow palette, it was there. It was so colorful, so pretty. And it was large. I know larger palettes are hard to store, but it was a large in the sense that it could fulfill all of your eyeshadow dreams, right? And I've seen a lot of people do a lot of amazing looks with the palette, and people praise the quality of the shadows and the pigmentation of the shades, considering there were so many shades in the palette. It just got really good reviews, and I've seen people doing all kinds of fun stuff with that palette, and I always wanted it. The artwork on the front was obviously like super good. Really nice stuff. I know Kat Von D was doing the artwork back then when her name and face were part of the brand, and so she does good artwork, and it was a reflection of that. It was a really good palette, and I'm sad that I missed out on it. And for the longest time, when people would show it in their videos and in their eyeshadow palette collection videos, I would just be like, I really wanted that. And you know, it just gets you sometimes when you don't get those palettes and then they just disappear and everybody's still like in love with them and you just didn't get it. Alright, the third one that I have to share with you, I actually do not own anything from this brand at all, but when they released this collection and these palettes, I so wanted them so bad, and I just, for whatever reason, just passed on them for the time being because I figured maybe they would be around a little bit longer than they were and not like sell out and go out so quickly. But it was the Melt Morte palette. That is so pretty. Even when people show it in videos now and do looks with it, I'm just like, God, that is gorgeous. Those like blues and green shades and the like deepness, it gives it that kind of grungy feel. Plus the super pretty packaging on that palette. It's like, why did you make that limited edition? Why is that gone? I want that. I'm sure a lot of other people want that too. And people have said the quality of those are so good. And really, that's one of the only few Melt palettes that has really intrigued me. Was obviously a limited edition one. And just the newer ones they've released just haven't really been calling my name. And I'm like, now if you come back with that Morte, here I'll be with my money. And I'll get it this time, I promise. But that was a super pretty collection, and as a whole, the whole collection was really nice. I wish they'd just bring some stuff back just one more time. Alright, so the next palette, like palette number 4, I guess we could say. This one I was interested in, but it wasn't like, I guess the reason why I didn't get this one in particular is because it wasn't like one that I had to have. But it was very like interesting and unique for when it released at its time. And it was pretty in its own way. And it was the Kat Von D Pastel Goth palette. And if it would have been around longer and whatnot, I would have purchased it just solely because it was more unique. It would have been unique to my collection. And it was just something than what was on the market during that time that it released. And if they did go ahead and re-release it now or what have you, if they even could at this point, I would go ahead and pick it up because I would still like to enjoy that feeling of trying that palette and seeing if they're, you know, the shadows live up to the hype that it got. I'm sure if it was released though today with all the pastel palette options out there, it probably wouldn't be the greatest, but at the time it was super popular and super fun palette, and I would not have minded to got my hands on it, and I wouldn't mind to have my hands on it now. So I would put that as an option. Alright, so this next one is the last one that I'm going to share with you, and it would also fall into basically that same category as the Kat Von D Pastel Goth palette. As in, it probably would not have been one of my favorite palettes, and it wasn't one that I would have been super quick to pick up, which is one of the reasons why I didn't end up picking it up. But this is just one of those ones that I would have liked. This one is one of the ones I would have liked just for the packaging, essentially, is why I was into it. I wanted it for the packaging. I probably would not have enjoyed the color story or the eyeshadows in particular. And this one may actually still be available. Yeah, I'm actually looking right now. I think you can actually buy it. So this is the Tarte, the Mermaid eyeshadow palette, where the palette itself is in the shape of like a seashell, and it looks really pretty. And I don't know, it's just the outside, the packaging is really pretty. The eyeshadows and the palette are shaped like little seashells, and that's just like straight up my alley. The eyeshadows are supposed to be jewel tone, so it's supposed to fray from their traditional like neutral palettes, but they still look kind of muted to me. It looks still kind of like a neutral palette, so I probably wouldn't really enjoy the palette, the color story of the shadows. But that packaging, oh my god, I was in love with this when they first released it, but I never did pick it up. So I would love to have something like that in my collection, because for me, that would be something that I would like to display. That's like the type of packaging I would like to display, because I love the nautical, the beachy type of shit. You know what I mean? So that's like my favorite kind of stuff right there. And where they still have this on their website, I might actually just go ahead and pick it up. So wish me luck with that. And so as of currently right this second, those are all the palettes that I can think of from time that I had severe FOMO for and then just never ended up even getting, and was like, oh, maybe I can get it some other time. And then they end up being discontinued and I could not get them, and so now I really wish that I had. So if there's any discontinued palettes out there that will be on your forever wish list because you just never picked them up, then go ahead and drop those in the comments and let me know. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye!